It's said that the Conservative Party is the world's most successful political machine. It's been going for years. Well, perhaps, but uh, machines need maintenance. And this one is belching smoke, skidding off the road, and still insisting it's the future of travel. What will it take for the Conservatives to realise their current direction, one of reactionary mimicry, of cultural provocation and Farage-light posturing, isn't a strategy, but a mad delusion? And that's the question that we must ask ourselves. Because today, the reality is that the Conservatives' losses at the local elections amount to 41% of seats fought. That's the worst result for any party in British local elections ever, I think, certainly since World War II. But I think the answer might be actually ever, and that is the responsibility of the party leader. That is the responsibility of Kemi Badenoch. She can't just shrug and get on with it. This is worse than anything that has happened before. In 1992, the local elections were fought just after the Conservatives got into power in the 1992 election, and the Labour Party had a mammoth collapse, which was the worst that I think it has ever had. Nothing like the 41% of seats that have been lost in the Conservative Party in the last few days. The local election results were not bad. They were apocalyptic. The party went from holding 15 councils to holding none. In Durham, the Conservatives took one seat. In Lincolnshire, they were annihilated by a party that until recently was barely out of nappies. Soiled by Farage. The BBC projected national share of the vote puts the Conservatives in fourth place behind Labour, behind the Lib Dems, and most humiliatingly, behind Reform UK. The party of Farage, the party of memes and barely vetted candidates, is now the official opposition in much of the country. And yet Kemi Badenoch has responded by saying, renewal has only just begun. Well, one wonders whether she's referring to the Conservative Party or an unexpected subscription to something like Oblivion Limited. Nigel Farage is not a political nuisance. He is the most effective far-right or most effective right-wing strategist of this generation. He doesn't follow the electorate, he leads it. He reframes the debate and then storms the vacated middle ground with his pint and a grin in tow. He is the most effective rhetorician, the most effective orator that Britain has produced since Enoch Powell and Michael Foot. He is quite simply staggeringly good, and that's got nothing to say about his policies. As anybody who follows my channel will know, I don't agree with his policies, but I salute somebody who can actually string a sentence together and keep it going. More than that, he has inspired people like Richard Tice, who can stand up and be sort of Farage mini-me. Actually, I'm told I shouldn't use the word mini-me anymore because apparently it's rude. But Richard Tice is a Farage mini-me. He has learnt from the master. And so Farage is going to spawn lots of little Farages who can do that job. I'm not talking about the policies or the attitudes. I'm talking about the ability to stand up in Parliament and speak. And there are very few people who actually have that capacity. Starmer can't do it. Kemi Badenoch is the other side of useless, and she is so utterly inept. And that is part of the problem. Reform is not the SDP. It isn't trying to appeal to centrists disillusioned with Labour. It's replacing the Conservatives as the party of national populism. Economically left, culturally conservative, unapologetically angry. And the Conservatives, rather than confront this shift with intelligence, are trying to out Farage, and that isn't possible. It won't work. You don't beat the original with a Tribute Act. And you certainly don't win the south of England with dog whistles and disgruntled nostalgia. The south of England, the One Nation Conservatives who used to vote for Kemi Badenoch's party have either decided not to vote or are looking towards the Lib Dems. They're not going to look towards Farage. That's for the people who want to protest and want to spit. And Farage is attracting anybody who feels angry. Kemi Badenoch, we're told, was the new hope. I don't understand why anybody would think that. The fresh face. I was telling my channel that she was a disaster from day one. I thought she was interesting as a political activist when she first appeared on the scene. I thought she showed promise, as I also thought Suella Braverman showed promise. But both of them tried to become something that they weren't. They both tried to become a sort of second-rate Thatcher. It doesn't work, particularly because neither of them had clearly read any of Thatcher's books. They clearly did not realise that the key to Thatcher was her ability to listen and to change her mind. She may not have changed her mind to things that people wanted, but she was prepared to listen and she was prepared to change. Kemi Badenoch has surrounded herself with a cabinet of yes-men, not unlike Liz Truss. If Kemi Badenoch is basing her career on anybody, it's not Margaret Thatcher, it's Liz Truss. And she's going for the same sort of disaster. She's managed to last a little bit longer than Liz Truss, but then Kemi Badenoch hasn't had the problems of being in the top job. She's just shadowing that. She was the fresh face trying to look serious, a clever, principled Conservative. But I'm afraid that's the PR job. The PR has suggested that. That's not the reality. The reality is she can barely string a sentence together. She's lazy. She doesn't do the work. She doesn't put in the time. She doesn't listen, even when she's across the dispatch box from Keir Starmer. She doesn't listen to what he says and respond. She just gets on with the rest of her script. So far, therefore, she is not only missing in action, she's present, she's profoundly ineffective. No vision, no policies, no public resonance, very little response to the disaster that's just happened. She's even she's even incapable of scoring points at the dispatch box. Say what you like about Robert Jenrick. He may be a shape-shifting careerist with the ideological depth of a puddle or a poodle, but at least he can string a sentence together. At least, actually, Robert Jenrick is probably the next best thing to Farage in the House of Commons. He can stand up and he can speak without a script. There's not many who can do that now. But there he is, lurking, writing shadowy letters, meeting donors, refusing to include Badenoch's name in campaign messages. Not so much an insurgency as a mime performance for Julius Caesar, with everyone pretending not to hold the knife. The party's decline started, well, it didn't even start last week. It began when Brexit became a loyalty test rather than a policy, when competence, decency and independent thought were purged in favour of slogans and sycophancy. Gone are the One Nation Tories, the policy thinkers, the electoral realists. In their place, a think tank masquerading as a political party where principle is confused with provocation and where fighting the blob is considered more important than delivering energy bills or social care reform. The Tories are now cornered. Well and truly. Move right and you fuel Farage. Move centre and you bleed support to the Lib Dems and appear weak. Wait too long and there's nothing left to lead. Wait much longer and it's all gone. The only real hope is not a pact with reform, Farage doesn't need them, but a wholesale rethinking of what conservatism means in 2025. And that means articulating a real economic vision, aspiring to aspiration, speaking for aspiration and security, not grievance and gimmickry. It means appearing to love the country, not just loathe the bits of it that voted Remain, or fly rainbow flags, or have degrees in humanities. So what will it take? Possibly electoral annihilation, possibly a fourth leadership contest in 5 years, possibly nothing at all. Perhaps they'll plod on into irrelevance with slogans about sovereignty and leaflets about potholes. But one thing is certain, if the party of Peel and Churchill and Thatcher doesn't stop trying to impersonate Nigel Farage, it won't lead the next decade. It'll be lucky to even exist in the next decade.